The commitment now of the government of South Africa to ensure that never again do we see this kind of thing was very clear.
President Muhammadu Buhari back in Abuja after a highly successful and impactful visit to South Africa. Nigeria and South Africa to issue 10-year visa to businessmen, academics and frequent travelers for socio-economic development.
There is nobody who is above the law in the country. We will take appropriate steps to ensure that our clients regain their freedom as soon as possible.
Federal High Court in Abuja grants bail to convener of Revolution Now Omoyele Sowore. Plus, Nigerian nurses canvass for diversification into specialties mark International Nurses Week in Jos. Good evening and thanks for joining us on the news at 9. I'm Rhoda Anonem. Reading with me tonight in Lagos is Jennifer Igwe. Once again, thank you for joining us. President Muhammadu Buhari is back in Abuja after a highly successful and remarkable visit to the Republic of South Africa on the invitation of President Cyril Ramaphosa before leaving Pretoria. The president granted audience to the Deputy President of South Africa, David Mabuza. The engagement was meant to review the concrete measures to be put in place to ensure that social, economic and cultural well-being of both countries. State House correspondent Adam Musambu has more details.
The meeting, which lasted about 1 hour behind closed doors, was a follow-up on the agreements reached during the various high-level engagements between the president and the South African leader, Cyril Ramaphosa. It was aimed at significantly moving beyond the rhetoric to the nitty-gritty of the actual programs of action as regards the major deliverables. Foreign Affairs Minister Geoffrey Onyeama witnessed the talks.
They both felt that really at the core of the challenge for development on our continent was education, that it was absolutely important to educate our people. They looked at the steps, the countries that needed to be visited to restore peace on the continent, and then also looked at trade within the continent, especially within the context of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, and how that could and should be addressed. They looked also at self-reliance for Africa, the area of and the role of agriculture, how we could pull our resources together to ensure food security in Africa. Then they also looked at the global scenario, how we go about ensuring that Africa's voice should be heard and that Africa should also be driving the global agenda.
In the meantime, President Muhammadu Buhari, accompanied to South Africa by a high-powered delegation comprising the governors of Kano, Plateau and Ebonyi states, left Pretoria highly fulfilled.
The commitment now of the government of South Africa to ensure that never again do we see this kind of thing was very clear, and we've put in place now a concrete and a real mechanism to help the authorities preempt such attacks and to address those attacks and to deal, very severely with anybody that, misbehaves in that context. We have seen how aligned, the political leaders are, and the roadmap that has now been developed for these two countries to really drive development on the continent. We've now put in place a framework for two huge economies on the continent to increase the level of trade. So the political will that is now there is going to open up really the markets for both countries. Nigerian businesses to come in here, banks, other companies, and also the other way around. And this is going to be a win-win for our two countries.
On return to Abuja, Nigeria's capital, President Buhari was received at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport by the Minister of the FCT, Muhammad Musa Bello, Director General of the Department of State Services, Yusuf Magaji Bichi, Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, Permanent Secretary of the State House, Jalal Arabi, and other senior government officials. In Abuja, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has reassured Nigerians in diaspora of his administration's commitment to continue to protect and promote the image and integrity of Nigeria and Nigerians. This is when the president interacted with the Nigerian community in the Republic of South Africa. State House correspondent Aliyu Kabiru has more.
President Muhammadu Buhari, who has rounded off his official visit to South Africa, emphasized the need for Nigerians based in the Republic of South Africa to continue to be law-abiding citizens and respect the constituted authorities while undertaking their legitimate businesses, assuring them that based on the discussions he had with President Ramaphosa, the issue of xenophobia is being addressed.
During my visit here, we have discussed these attacks on foreigners and Nigerians. The authorities have expressed their apologies over the incidents and have resolved to take necessary steps to end this ugly trend in the interest of our relationship. We have just inaugurated the Nigeria-South Africa Bi-National Commission at the level of heads of state with a firm determination to further bring our two countries together in a mutually beneficial partnership. Let us therefore give peace a chance and pray we have seen the last of this ugly violence.
President Buhari also urged them to represent Nigeria very well in order to make the country proud.
You are our ambassadors and face of our country to the world wherever you are. The world is therefore watching you and will make judgments on Nigeria based on your comportment and actions. Second, in whatever legitimate engagement you find yourself, you must strive to excel and be the best. Third, while you are out in diaspora, do not forget home. You represent some of the best human assets that Nigeria has. With your education and exposure to the world, you are at the cutting edge of technology. I therefore urge you to use your resources, skills, and talents to help the development of Nigeria.
The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Geoffrey Onyama, alongside Nigerian High Commissioner to the Republic of South Africa, Kabiru Bala, promised to continue to give the president their support in ensuring that the interest of Nigeria is well protected.
What Mr. President was particularly concerned about was not the fire brigade approach of putting out one fire today and then maybe tomorrow it arises, but putting in place a mechanism that would ensure that we would never see again the kind of behavior that we saw in the past.
It's not only government of Nigeria that did so well for this country, but for those who were in school in the 60s, in the 70s and 80s, they have contributed so much of their meager resources, from meager salaries, towards the fund that liberated not only South Africa, but the Southern Africa itself.
Nigerians in South Africa applauded the proactiveness of the Nigerian government in handling the crisis, adding that the visit of the president to South Africa has restored their confidence and given them hope to continue to excel in their various fields of endeavors and projecting the image of the country positively. The event was attended by the representatives of Nigerian associations and other professional bodies residing in South Africa. In Pretoria, South Africa, Aliyu Kabir, NTA News.
And still staying with stories from South Africa, President Muhammadu Buhari and his South African counterpart Cyril Ramaphosa have reaffirmed the strategic bilateral relations between their countries in the spirit of solidarity, committed themselves to working together towards enhancing political, economic and social cooperation for the benefit of their people. This was at a state banquet in honor of the Nigerian leader by the South African government as he rounded off his remarkable historical historic visit to Pretoria. State House correspondent Adam Musambo has more.
See you again. Thank you very much.
The state banquet was put together by President Cyril Ramaphosa to show appreciation to President Muhammadu Buhari for the renewed friendship between their countries anchored on mutual respect, solidarity and understanding. In the past 2 days, hope for a better future through a shared vision has been rekindled as Nigeria and South Africa recommitted themselves to working as a united front towards confronting the numerous challenges of conflict, insecurity, migration, poverty, corruption, and poor governance bedeviling their countries and the continent. And with the abundant human and natural resources at the disposal of Nigeria and South Africa, the two leaders believe that such can be effectively harnessed and developed to put the two countries and indeed Africa on the path of peace and prosperity.
We believe that a strong strategic relationship between Nigeria and South Africa can become the engine for the rapid economic, political, social, cultural development of Africa, thereby delivering the Africa we want.
Our countries must continue to participate in promoting peace and security agenda for the continent. In this respect, we require African solutions for African problems.
The solemn event also provided the opportunity for the leaders to reflect on their country's long-lasting relations forged in a common struggle against colonialism and apartheid.
We in Nigeria are very proud that we stood with the people of Southern Africa in their hour of need. As they say, a friend in need is a friend indeed. We are also very proud that we are today charting an exciting new path towards the Africa we want.
Without Nigeria's support, our freedom would have come at a much greater cost and would have been even delayed more. We will never forget the great debt we owe you, and we will never allow the lawless actions of a few to undermine the bonds of friendship between our two peoples.
With a relationship now full of potential and promise, South Africa and Nigeria see the elevated Binational Commission as an important platform for them to keep on the same page as they move forward as one people with a shared vision and one destiny.
May you and the people of Nigeria have good health as Nigeria addresses all the challenges it has moving towards prosperity.
I would like, therefore, to seize this opportunity to formally invite you to pay a state visit to Nigeria for a return match, where we as Super Eagles will surely revenge against you, the Bafana Bafana.
Nigeria and the Republic of South Africa are the two largest economies in Africa. From Pretoria, South Africa, Adam Musambo, NTA News.
Following the successful conclusion of the 9th Binational Commission of South Africa and Nigeria meeting in Pretoria, South Africa, which was elevated to the level of heads of states, both countries have agreed on issuing 10-year visa to businessmen, academics and frequent travelers. A statement by Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, says the agreement was reached in a meeting co-chaired by President Muhammadu Buhari and President Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa, which was for the first time both presidents will preside since the Binational Commission was elevated. Shehu explains that the decision was taken to encourage more contacts among citizens of both countries and to further strengthen social, cultural, economic and political relations. Both countries also agreed to establish the Consular Forum, which is structured arrangement where both governments meet regularly at least twice in a year to discuss welfare of citizens. Which turn our attention now to security. In a bid to contain the misuse of firearms by personnel of the Nigeria Police Force, the Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, has launched the review of the Force Order 237, which guides police rules on engagement. Now, Francis Ford reports that in the review document, the Nigeria Police would adopt the use of taser and stun guns in place of conventional live bullets for low-risk operations.
The growing concern by Nigerians over the incidents of abuse of firearms by the security agencies, especially the Nigerian police, many say has given the expression that there is no comprehensive crime control strategy in the country.
We are happy to officially launch.
That is being corrected as the Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, launched a review of the Force Order 237, which borders on the use of firearms by its personnel. It is part of the reforms to reposition the police and address extrajudicial killings and human rights abuses.
This document, as it is going to be launched, we'll send it to all the police training institutions. It's going to be now the new syllabus on the use of firearms.
International Committee of the Red Cross delegates at the event. Special training programs are being organized for special units of the police to equip them for policing in the 21st century. In Abuja, Francis Form, NTA News.
Parents of the abducted this report.
Established in 2010, few kilometers away from Kaduna, Engravers College has had peaceful sessions until last Thursday night when some government invaded the school, abducted 6 female students from their hostel and 2 staff.
And the 2 of them chased me, were shooting at me. I ran into the bush. We took count of the students and we discovered that 6 girls were taken. My colleague, the vice principal academics, was also taken, and also the house mistress staying with the girls.
Paul Adindu is yet to recover from the shock and trauma of the abduction of his 2 daughters, who are among the 6 female students abducted by the government.
These children, they will call me crying that I beaten them. How can a reasonable father? I can't sleep. She says I have not slept.
The Kaduna State government says frantic efforts are being made to secure the release of the students.
And we are also appealing to the members of the general public if they have any useful information that could help security agencies in rescuing the abducted students and staff of the college, who should help us.
At the moment, the school has been shut down by its authorities. In Kaduna, I am Muhammad Umar Ajingi, NTA News.
Still talking security, Oyo Osun Command of the Nigerian Customs has seized 1,148 parcels of cannabis sativa hemp worth 160 million naira. Controller Oyo Osun Command says the substance was smuggled into Nigeria via the border. Adebola Ogunlana completes the report.
Which was concealed with sawdust, was intercepted around Elekoko Ofegun area of Iwajowa local government area of Oyo State. The Customs Zonal Controller Oyo Osun, Abdullah Zulkifli, and the officials of National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, after cross-checking, said the wrapped cannabis sativa was 1,047, while the one in bags was 101. However, no arrest was made.
This one is very much new to many. If this is valued at 150,000 naira, only God knows how much damage it will do to human beings.
They will use a transfer letter to us. The number of the exhibits will be written on the transfer letter. Then we now move it to our office.
The Oyo Osun Command of the Nigerian Customs Service has therefore warned members of the public to desist from illegal activities and any other trans-border crimes. From Ibadan, Adebola Ogunlana, NTA News.
You're watching the news at 9 on the network service of Nigerian Television Authority. It's time now for us to take our very first break. We'll be back with more reports in just a moment.
Papa Scholastic, now what are you doing? Emeka, drive the limousine Bugatti, come inside now. Waiting Glo 200 naira recharge card for me. 200 naira.
Just recharge 200 naira for one day, and you say fit follow win for the hundreds and hundreds of heavy prizes like keke na pepper, industrial sewing machine, grinding machine, and generator. Glo, my own done better.
My grinder will go win. Now here I go put up. Make that.
Emeka no go recharge you na Glo. I don't win generator, and here na myself. Oh,
the more you recharge, the more your chance, the better.
Unlimited.
When you wake up in the morning before you start your day, breakfast time is Kellogg's time. For work and for play, for a great start to your day. Breakfast time is Kellogg's time.
We always start our day with a nourishing Kellogg's breakfast, powered with the goodness of grains and 11 essential vitamins and minerals. So in our family, breakfast time is Kellogg's time.
Breakfast time is Kellogg's time.
Hey, you! And are you how they talk to? I sabi you now. It's in your mind, Abi. The person with them go help us. Baba Toros and Shangalo, Oga Lekuva, Mr. Sabi. And you know if we carry last for this one.
A spear into the top corner.
We Sabi say Peking will crawl before in waka. So don't look, no help anybody. No dolly, no. So go for it. Go for football. Go for Osirio on the Liga Martins live. Go for GoTV Max.
I want to introduce to you what we call the Ratus Okokopolos, aka Bushrat, aka Dewi, aka Nchi. This is the time of the year when they mate. You understand? I would like you people to see how these things are done. Every time you see a Ratus Okokopolos, there must be a serpentis around trying to, chopulate. And when they chopulate it will.
Out of life with the new Airtel data plans.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
Welcome to Adeleke University, a faith-based learning institution located in the serene and historic town of Ide, Osun State, Nigeria, running on the well-thought vision of its founding fathers to improve lives and society. The institution offers affordable and quality education. We are currently offering admission into our faculties of science, engineering, law, and art. We are also offering entry into the Faculty of Basic Medical Sciences and the Faculty of Business and Social Science. Our College of Postgraduate Studies offers you the chance to earn your master's and doctorate's degree in over 30 disciplines. For more inquiries, please visit www.adelikeuniversity.edu.ng. You can also call 0806-820-2021. Adeleke University. Education, excellence, character.
Let's come together as we celebrate the uniqueness of our cultural diversity, showcase our creativity and ingenuity. It's the National Festival for Arts and Culture, NAFEST 2019, in the ancient city of Benin, Edo State, the heartbeat of the nation. Theme, our reality, our pride. Holding 19th through 26th October 2019. Highlights will include drama, children poetry performance, essay writing competition, crafts competition, indigenous indigenous cuisine, traditional wrestling, indigenous fabrics in royal apparel, cultural quiz competition, board games, and lots more. Oh yes, it's the National Festival of Arts and Culture, NAFEST 2019, Edo State, Nigeria, holding 19th to 26th October 2019. We are celebrating our heritage. Otumba Olusegun Runshiwe, Director General, National Council for Arts and Culture, announcer.
Hey, bro, what's up, man?
Wait. Sure, son, I want device to carry.
Enjoy more data than before on Airtel Home Broadband. Get up to 160 gigabytes on routers with 25,000 Naira and 55 gigabytes on Airtel MiFi's with 12,000 Naira. More data, more you. Reliable home broadband by
Airtel, the smartphone network.
You're welcome back, and if you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 9. Within the last 5 years, financial institutions in Nigeria lost about 25 billion naira to frauds and cyber crimes. Now, cyber crimes experts, however, warned that if allowed to continue, the economy would be brought to its knees. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports that this was the revelation made when members of the institute visited and inducted Abdul Jalal Arabi, Permanent Secretary of the Presidential Villa, as a Fellow of the Chartered Institute.
We're almost done. What is before us is the legacy we bequeath for the generation to come.
A word of advice from Jalal Arabi, Permanent Secretary of the State House, who notes that if the people refuses to toll the right path, there may not even be any generation after this.
And in all honesty, we can only do that if we search deeply into our conscience to know that if there were mistakes in the past, the time has come for us to put the system in a sound pedestal so that the generation to come after us would have read what we consider the mistakes we did in the past and what we are bequeathing to them.
It's not in doubt that fraudsters have gone sophisticated and now engage digital technology to perpetrate fraud. Putting the system on a sound pedestal, as it says, means having the right attitude by individuals and having measures for crime prevention in place by government.
No country can actually experience economic growth with poor or no fraud preventive measures in place. And as we are aware, prevention, they say, is better than cure. So our main target is to ensure that we put preventive measures in place so that fraud will not even take place before we start running after the people that are involved.
The Chartered Institute of Forensic and Investigation Professionals of Nigeria commends President Muhammadu Buhari and also honored Jalal Arabi as Fellow of the Institute. The Permanent Secretary encourages the group to be all-inclusive by bringing more patriotic Nigerians into the fold with the aim of improving the nation. In the State House, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
The legislature, as a cardinal institution of democracy, has responsibilities for legislation, oversight and representation. To what extent did the 8th National Assembly live up to these expectations with regard to their responsibilities? Timothy Yusuf reports on the assessment of the performance of these core functions by the 8th National Assembly.
These are some of the bills of the 8th National Assembly assented to by the executive. This is in addition to the ones not assented to. The 8th National Assembly had prided itself as the best in the history of the nation's democracy in terms of bills and inputs that have facilitated good governance. Yaga Center for Legislative Engagement, after a comprehensive assessment, also thumbs up that legislature at a presentation of its scorecard of the 8th National Assembly. The findings of the study as presented by the lead researcher and former INEC chairman, Professor Tairu Jega, described it as remarkable and revealing with respect to lawmaking, which recorded significant increase in the number of bills. 2,166 bills were introduced, out of which 515 were passed, including 21 constitutional alteration bills, 5 of which received presidential assent. In all, the 8th Senate passed 172 bills, while the House of Representatives passed 343 bills within the same period. The report found it wanting in the areas of oversight functions and representation, with most members said not to be in touch with their constituents.
We looked at how committees of the National Assembly have performed, how active have they been, and we found that very few were really active. And the few that were active, in fact, the most active of them is the Appropriation Committee of the Senate and the House. But many other committees were not active. In fact, there were committees that have never met.
Findings of this report will enrich the institution of the legislature towards a citizens-driven representation.
Representatives of the National Institute for Legislative Studies, Office of the Deputy President of the Senate, and the Ambassador of European Union Delegation to Nigeria and ECOWAS, Ketil Carlson, acknowledged the report and pledged to carefully study it. In Abuja, Timothy Yusuf, NT News.
Meanwhile, Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, says a lot needs to be done to change public perception of the constitutional role of the legislature. He said this while interacting with the leadership of Center for Legislative Engagements led by former chairman of INEC, Professor Atahiru Jega. National Assembly correspondent Alami Ali tells us more.
Against the backdrop of findings of a research carried out by the Center for Legislative Engagements on the performance of the 8th Assembly, House Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila stressed that the Parliament's role is lawmaking, representation and oversight as spelled out in the Constitution. This, however, is not the case for a majority of Nigerians who, he says, assess lawmakers on other criteria.
So you cannot impose the function of one on the other. We have to run an organized democracy, not just a democracy. Because the way democracy is interpreted in Nigeria, all it means is that you conducted an election. That's democracy. But there's a difference between that and an organized democracy where people are educated and they understand the functions of each arm of government.
Professor Atahiru Jega disclosed that a research conducted by the Center in 12 states show that the 8th Assembly passed a significant number of bills and gave suggestions on how to improve the quality of legislation in the country.
Ideally, Right Honorable Speaker, as you are no doubt aware, averagely, a bill should take less than 6 months to pass. Of the 515 bills passed by the 8th National Assembly, only 47, which is 9.1%, were passed within 50 days.
He recommended the use of electronic voting on bills and critical motions for credibility. Lami Ali, NTA News.
We turn our attention now to judiciary as the convener of the Revolution Now protest, Omoyele Sowore, is currently making efforts to meet the bail conditions granted to him by a federal high court sitting in Abuja. Olabode Arewa reports.
Omoyele Sowore and Olawale Bakare were arraigned by the Department of State Security, DSS, on 7-count charge of alleged treasonable felony, insulting President Muhammadu Buhari, and plotting to overthrow the federal government by calling for a revolution. They pleaded not guilty to the charges when their trial came up last Monday. At Friday's resumed sitting, their counsel Femi Falana, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, argued that various courts in the country had established that the use of the word revolution was not a criminal offense and no police permit was required to embark on a peaceful protest. Falana urged the court to grant the accused persons bail pending their trial. The prosecuting counsel, Hassan Liman, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, opposed the bail application, arguing that under Section 162 of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015, and Section 41 of the Criminal Code, the defendants had not met the requirements to obtain bail, saying they could also jump bail. The court, in its discretion, said granting the bail would enable them prepare adequately for trial. The court granted Sowore bail in the sum of 100 million naira and 2 shorties who must have landed property in Abuja. Sowore is required to deposit his international passport with the court and not leave Abuja without permission. Meanwhile, Bakare was granted 50 million naira bail with 2 shorties. The court also restricted him from leaving Osun State, his residence, except to attend trial and not attend any rally.
God has made its order and given the conditions for the bail. So we are awaiting to see to the fulfillment of the bail condition.
There is nobody who is above the law in the country. We will take appropriate steps to ensure that our clients regain their freedom as soon as possible.
The case is adjourned to the 8th of November 2019 for commencement of trial. In Abuja, Olabodarewa, NTA News.
Vice President Yemi Osinbajo says the federal government remains committed to providing quality education to all Nigerians at all levels. The Vice President stated this in a message to the 30th convocation of the Nigerian Defence College, Kaduna. Abdullahi Muhammad reports.
Gathered here at the General Ihejirika Hall of the Nigeria Defence Academy are 319 graduating cadets for the 67 regular corps Army, 66 regular Navy and Air Force, and postgraduate students for conferment of degrees in various fields of study.
Whatever we learn and acquire when we go out, we represent the academy.
Coming to a military area is another thing. You know, the way they do their things, the discipline, the classes, the lecturers, everything about them is just different.
In a message to the occasion, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo says the federal government will continue to accord priority to the provision of quality education at all levels to stimulate growth.
The federal government is aware of the significance of education as a tool for progress and national development. This is reflected in the allocation of 625 billion naira for this purpose.
The Vice President asked the graduating cadets to prepare themselves for the task of national defense and development. 2 prominent Nigerians, Air Marshal Alamin Musa Dagash and Lieutenant General Joseph Woni, were conferred honorary doctorate degree of military science in recognition of their contributions to global peace and security.
In Kaduna, Abdullah Muhammad, NTA News.
Abdullahi Muhammad there reporting from the 30th convocation of the Nigerian Defence Academy in Kaduna. Now, qualitative healthcare delivery, patient satisfaction and diversification into various specialties were at the front burner of discuss by the Nigerian nurses and midwives at the Jos University Teaching Hospital as part of activities to commemorate the International Nurses Week in Jos. Ruth Stevens has details.
Considering the vital role nursing profession plays in quality healthcare delivery in the country, there is an urgent need for diversification of the field of nursing into various specialties to meet with emerging trend in the health sector. Participants were of the view that since healthcare plays an integral role in ensuring a healthy society, there is need for collaboration with other key players in the health sector for optimal service delivery.
The nursing profession, just like the medical profession, has a lot of fields of specialties. Some of this field of specialties does not even exist here. There are certain ones that have just been introduced, and nursing as a profession needs to diversify into those areas.
The issue of man shortage is really affecting the profession negatively, and so we are calling on the government to help us so that we can meet with the challenge and what is obtainable as best practice.
Being the closest group of medical personnel to the patients, the nurses and midwives undertook a medical outreach to Kabon community in Jos North, where they treated members of the community for various ailments. In Jos, Ruth Stephen Hoke, NTA News.
Still talking health matters, medical practitioners have identified sedentary lifestyle and negligence to general medical checks as some of the causes of avoidable deaths. To curtail this attitude as well as encourage routine medical checks amongst Nigerians is why the Nizamiye Hospital Abuja is opening its doors to Nigerians, irrespective of medical history, to come to the hospital for standard general medical check. Salwal Khalil Ibrahim reports.
Be it for leisure or labor, Nigerians are known to be serious-minded people in whatever they do. Many people could go on and on until the clock ticks. Are you one of those people who will wait to be sick before you go see a doctor?
I woke up one day and decided just to go for a medical checkup without any sign of any sickness. To my greatest surprise, while I was undergoing a routine medical checkup, it was discovered that I had a tumor. I never had any symptoms that I could recall.
Medical professionals say routine medical checks is not just for the sick alone, but for the healthy.
If we screen those things in some individuals, they can actually aim at 100% cure. Then to think about long-term battle with treatment and the rest.
This is why the Nizamiye Hospital Abuja, with 24 hours emergency services and in-house consultation within a short period, is giving Nigerians a lifetime opportunity to be diagnosed by experts on their state-of-the-art diagnostic equipment.
The Nizamiye Hospital, having to understand the benefit of regular checkup, and as part of our corporate social responsibility, gives a massive discount every year on our various checkup packages as a means of encouraging Nigerians to undergo checkup.
This gesture, the Nizamiye Hospital believes, will make healthcare services more accessible to encourage self-care for a healthier nation. Salwa Khalil Ibrahim, NTA News.
You're watching the news at 9. It's time now to link up with Jennifer Igwe in our Lagos studios for more reports.
Thank you, Rhoda, and welcome to Lagos. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has advocated that states be autonomous in order for the second-tier government to harness the potential inherent in their respective jurisdictions. He made the suggestion at the Island Club Independence Lecture 2019 held in Lagos. Tunde Saiki has the details.
The Vice President, who drew inspiration from the vision of Nigeria's founding fathers, who governed the various regions before and after independence, noted that states are capable of developing autonomously and contribute more to the overall economic performance of the country. He said the unity that existed among them led the togetherness that should be embraced and sustained by all Nigerians, irrespective of ethnic, religious, and political affiliation.
The limitations of our constitution should not make us despondent. The process of creating stronger subnationals or stronger states is possible, even without making any major constitutional changes, even within our current legal and constitutional framework.
Chairman of the Independence Lecture, Sir Kesintin Adebutu, and the Chairman, Island Club, Prince Kola Abumeri, sued for peace, urging Nigerians to take advantage of their diversity to promote economic growth.
I'm laying emphasis on peace because, as I rightly said, without peace, there can never be good relationship. Forefront of excitement and hunger to build and experience a greater, more economically vibrant and socially just Nigerian nation.
The Island Club Independence Lecture is an annual event where issues of national development are analyzed with a view to profile solutions. In Lagos, Tunde Saiki, NTA News.
And to health, a 149-bed maternity and child health facility has been inaugurated in Igondo, Alimosho local government area of Lagos State as a strategic intervention by the federal government in the nation's healthcare delivery system. In her message to the event, Nigeria's First Lady, Aisha Buhari, urged the women in the council to optimize the use of the project aimed at reducing mother and child mortality in Lagos. Joy Ken Abakboya reports.
The three-floor building boasts of state-of-the-art equipment ranging from 2 operating theaters, vacuum extractor delivery sets, baby incubators, ultrascan machines, and other key tools needed to ensure safety of mother and child during delivery. Emergency and laboratory services were rendered free for the first set of beneficiaries. Nigeria's First Lady, Aisha Buhari, who was represented, says her office will not relent in complementing states to improve on healthcare delivery for Nigerians.
It is important that we save as many mothers and children as we can. I always say, when we do not need to lose their lives in the process of giving life to others.
Women and children are key. They are key to the family, and anything that affects the woman and the child affects the whole family.
Senior Special Assistant to the President on Sustainable Development Goals, Adejoke Orelope Adefulire, who facilitated the project, said the present administration will continue to work towards the transformative pledge of not leaving anyone behind.
A genuine desire and commitment to reduce the high rate of maternal and child deaths across the country, that my office constructed and equipped 10 number of 149-bed mother and child center across Nigeria.
For Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, the target of his administration is to be people-oriented in infrastructural development and to ensure that the state's health insurance policy is fully implemented.
Plan to achieve a health for all, not only by the year 2030, because we're pushing it forward to be able to achieve it by 2025.
According to the Office of the SSA to the President on Sustainable Development Goals, similar projects have been completed in 10 different states and will also be replicated in other parts of the country. In Lagos, Joy Ken Abakboya, NTA News.
Now, several factors, including construction work along several routes on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, as well as disobedience of traffic rules by motorists, contribute to the gridlock experienced on the road on a daily basis. Dr. Guyemi reports.
Going by the reports of total standstill on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, getting to ascertain the cause of the gridlock was almost impossible. However, getting to the old toll gate, movement was slow, but not static, even as the rush hour peaked. On further observation of the situation towards Bega as far as Kara Bridge, motorists began sensing what lay ahead, forcing commuters to opt for the services of motorcyclists as the fastest option. But its affordability meant low patronage, as most of them had to wait for buses.
They used to collect 150, 200. But I can hear now, I say 300, 400 naira.
It is a hectic traffic situation for motorists, but there are road traffic signs as well as diversions to aid. However, there is also critical service being provided by young men and women for motorists who are tired and hungry.
To check the excesses of drivers who often ply one way, the Federal Road Safety Corps says it is reaching out to security agencies to ensure strict adherence to traffic rules to reduce the slow pace of vehicular movement. In Lagos, Dotun Ogunyemi, NTA News.
That's a contribution from Lagos. Network News continues after this timeout. Please stay tuned.
Now what is it? Emeka, drive the limousine. Bugatti, come inside now. Waiting below 200 naira recharge card for me.
200 naira. Just recharge 200 naira for 1 day, and you say fit follow win for the hundreds and hundreds of heavy prizes like a can of pepper, industrial sewing machine, grinding machine, and generator. Glow, my own done better.
My grinder will go win. Now here I go put up. Make that.
Make una no go recharge una glow. I don't win generator. And here, now myself. Oh, the more you recharge, the more your chance, the better. Unlimited.
Start your day easier and happier with LG Inverter. Gain peace of mind with an efficient laundry cycle. Feel cooler air even at midday without any worries. Enjoy mealtime with food kept fresh all day long. The LG Inverter enriches your everyday life. Better inverter, LG Inverter.
What we are really cultivating here is a better future for all Nigerian women, and it's not always easy. Panadol Extra relieves headache, backache, joint pain, toothache, and menstrual pain. The pain is worth it.
Thank you for being there. A popular Nigerian adage goes, a lizard nods its head in self-approval when nobody acknowledges it, not for itself alone. Now, MTN is nodding in acknowledgement of the efforts of its regional nominators who recommended life-transforming projects carried out by the foundation under the What Can We Do Together initiative. Momso Damien Dati captured the event for NTA.
Whenever and wherever you see the yellow sign, you are almost assured that the area is duly covered by the yellow network. For MTN, there's more to life than just providing effective network services and making profit. This technology giant has included relaxation and enjoyment as part of the package. In this quest, it rolled out a yellow carpet, treating these special guests to VIP services while offering variety of unique intercontinental delicacies. About 110 of them. These people are MTN nominators from different states across Nigeria. Through text messages, they had suggested and initiated local projects for the MTN Foundation.
MTN intervened on health care delivery system. They provide all the amenities that is needed in our primary health centers.
My school was one of those people that benefited, and the people were given learning materials.
So, the big event is to appreciate them and roll out plans to do more for Nigerians. When it comes to pampering and giving its partners world-class experience, plus touching lives positively, MTN says it does it better.
When you meet somebody at his point of need, he's a happy person. We've trained almost 6,000 science and technology graduates in our local universities.
And the testimonies and smiles on the faces of its nominators attest to it. Since inception in 2015, 510 communities in 454 local government areas across Nigeria have been impacted with diverse social development projects under What Can We Do Together initiative. Momso Damien Dati, NTA News.
Boa Flour and Pasta Refinery is about to commence operation at the Boa Ports and Terminals in the heart of Port Harcourt, Rivers State. Robinson Deratidia reports that the General Manager, Boa Ports and Terminal, Port Harcourt, Ibrahim Lile, disclosed that with the state-of-the-art equipment and a production capacity of over 1.2 metric tons per annum, the plant has the potential of meeting the needs of its clientele nationwide.
About $400 million is said to have been invested in the construction of one of Nigeria's biggest refineries. It boasts of a pasta plant with a production capacity of 500,000 tons per annum, in addition to a sugar plant of 720,000 metric tons per annum. The storage capacity of wheat is said to be at 320,000 tons, while the storage capacity of sugar is 60,000 tons with a 24 megawatt power generated through gas turbine to run the factory. With the strategic location of the factory to gas and railway line, according to the general manager, will further reduce the prices of its high-quality brands and products.
We have the advantage of proximity to the port. The terminal is just right behind the sugar dome. So when the ships bat there, the raw materials will be conveyed via conveyor belts into the factory. That also reduces the cost of transporting the raw materials from the port to our factory. We assure Nigerians that when we start, our pasta, our flour, our semolina, and our sugar will be the cheapest in Nigeria.
Having a workforce of 700 people at the construction stage with few expatriate support, technological transfer will be easily felt by Nigerians, which is the mission of BUA Group in developing local content.
This plant, we have 2 flour mills. Each flour mill has 800 ton capacity, total 1,600.
BUA Group is a leading foods and infrastructure conglomerate in Nigeria and has been in existence since 1988. In Port Harcourt, Robinson Derateide, NTA News.
Since coming on board, the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development have continued to put in place modalities to kickstart operations for social protection and inclusion of all. Part of the action taken is the ministry's synergy with all MDAs under its supervision. Ruth Aguele tells us more.
That oath is binding to a huge responsibility for the task ahead. For the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, providing adequate social protection and inclusion mechanisms is top priority. To make that effective and attainable, the Ministry is building on a strong synergy with agencies and departments under its supervision to forge ahead for the formulation and implementation of policies on all activities relating to disaster management in the country.
Work towards achieving and set out rules and objectives of this ministry. Being MDS under the ministry, we have a mandate that we're supposed to execute, and so we expect that we're going to work together as a team for us to achieve the desired goals and objectives.
This is a pathway for the institutionalization of the Poverty Alleviation Agency that we tend to achieve.
We have been working around the country irrespective of the conflicts, so we've all agreed to work together as one team.
The dialogue continues as the ministry is taking every necessary step towards the actualization of its dream to meet the welfare of the vulnerable in the country. In Abuja, Ruth Aguele, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari has condoled the Akinfewa family on the demise of Senator Moji Soluwa Akinfewa, former national chairman of Alliance for Democracy, special advisor to the president on media and publicity. Femi Adesina says President Buhari also commiserates with the government and people of Osun State on the loss of the elder statesman who represented Osun East constituency in the National Assembly from 1999 to 2003. Meanwhile, the death has been announced of Dr. Eyo Ita Eswa, aged 92. The late Ita Eswa passed away on the 28th of last month. Funeral arrangement starts on Monday, October 7, with the opening of Morning House at number 9 Omar Street off IBB Way, Calabar, 10. Time 7 a.m. Service of songs is scheduled for Friday, October 11th at the Methodist Church of Nigeria, Diocese of Calabar at number 39 Beecraft Road. Time 5 p.m. while the funeral service is for Saturday, October 3rd at the same church. He is survived by wife, children and great-grandchildren. And that wraps up Network News tonight. We thank you so much for watching.